Before Columbus arrived, the Americas were not an empty wilderness. They were filled with advanced civilizations: the Mayans, the Olmecs, the Aztecs, the Arawaks, the Taino, the Caribs, Mississippian mound builders, hundreds of tribal nations from the Caribbeans to the plains. You had cities, astronomy, trade routes, governments, spiritual systems, and yes, dark skinned people, just like Columbus described in his journals. This is the world Apocalypto begins with: a civilization already dealing with internal conflict, but nothing compared to what was coming across from the ocean. When Columbus landed, he wrote something most people don't know. He described the people he met as brown to black in skin tone, with woolly or thick hair, as different from the Europeans in every way. Columbus was shocked by their generosity, their physical strength, and their social structure. His journal says, "They are very intelligent and very handsome. They are black and have hair like the people of the Canaries." That alone destroys the Hollywood stereotype of the so-called Red Indians. The first indigenous peoples Europeans met in the Caribbean were dark-skinned, powerful, skilled, and free, but that freedom was short-lived. In Apocalypto, the arrival of the Spaniards is just one shot, but the message is loud. Everything is about change. In reality, the change was far more brutal: mass enslavements, rape, forced conversions, colonization, forced labor, disease used as a weapon, entire islands depopulated. The Taino population of Hispaniola went from 1 million to almost zero in a few decades. Columbus wrote openly about capturing children, women, and even babies to take them back to Spain as slaves. What happened next was not a discovery of America, it was the destruction of the people who already lived there. This is the true meaning of Apocalypto, not the collapse of one civilization, but the end of the indigenous freedom when Europeans stepped foot on their shores. What happened in the Caribbean in 1492 didn't stay in the Caribbean, it spread like wildfire. To Mexico with Cortez, to South America with Pizarro, to Florida with De Soto, to the Southeast tribes, to the Great Plains, to the Southwest, and eventually across the entire continent. Millions died in what historians now call the Great Dying, one of the deadliest events in human history. Entire nations vanished, languages disappeared, ancient knowledge was burned, sacred sites were destroyed, and like Apocalypto, the people who survived had to flee, hide, or assimilate to survive. But the destruction didn't end with sword and guns, it continued with something more subtle, but just as deadly. After the physical destruction came cultural destruction. The colonizers needed full control. To do that, they had to erase the original identity of the people. This is when Europeans began classifying native people by race instead of nations: Indian, Negro, mulatto, colored.